I actually started my career in government. I started first in the Taiwan government and then the US government, both doing security cooperation, which actually just means arms sales. So it's facilitating security cooperation amongst two governments and selling weapons across the two governments. I left after doing around 4 years of that because I decided I was never going to become a warlord. So I went into something even more dodgy, which is finance. I joined HSBC as a management trainee. First started as a communications manager, so doing external media, PR, and internal employee communications. And then I decided I wanted more commercial, to build more commercial acumen. So I became a commercial banker, which is a financial advisor for mid and large size corporates in Taiwan. Did that for another 5 years in total. And then I joined McKinsey as a management consultant. They were building out a new practice, which they were looking for experienced hires in banking industry to come in and serve banking clients. So I did that for the past 5 years, which is great. It helped me to travel the world. I worked across Greater China, Southeast Asia, Europe, and then also led me to move to Australia, which is amazing. But I quit my job at McKinsey around 8 months ago because I just wasn't feeling fulfilled helping rich companies become more rich. I shouldn't say that on on camera, but that was how I felt, and I left and I joined the Antler program, and I'm now doing something which I feel much more fulfilling, and which is to build a fintech startup supporting women to become more financial independent. I think the worst advice, it's always trying to mold myself to fit in to the big boys club. I've always been taught, especially when you're as a salesperson, you need to dress a certain way, talk in a certain way to appeal to your clients. I think it took me a long journey to really kind of find my place and really value the skill sets I had and what I was bringing to the table, and not just being to fit a mold because my boss told me to act and talk in a certain way. So I think that's the worst advice I've gotten. But the other side of that is I have had a few very inspiring female mentors throughout the journey who have taught me to really just to stay true to, your female characteristics, and you being empathetic, actually having feelings, actually caring about your team members, and that's what makes you a good leader, and really accentuate that and not trying to hide that just because you want to fit in a big boys club. So I think around the same theme, but I've had, which someone has given me kind of the bad advice side of it, but I've also received some really positive mentoring on the flip side. Like, there's no such thing as the perfect job. I think I was always, and this comes back again, I think Asian culture, and I've never been brought up in different cultures, so I can't speak for other cultures, but Asian parents are always kind of expecting you. There are certain jobs that they think is a good job, and you've kind of always been brought up to only pick one of those. Either you're a doctor or a lawyer or a banker. So I've always kind of grew up saying, well, I need to find that perfect job. There is no such thing. Every job has its good stuff, good side and bad side. I think it took me a long time to really understand what the perfect job is, something that you look forward to doing on a Sunday night. And it took me, almost 20 years in my career to finally find that. I think the biggest mistake I've made is, so I think it's trying too hard to seek validation and approval. I think, it could be just the industries I've worked in, management consulting, finance is always pretty high intensity and very competitive. And a lot of these companies and industries are also structured around you competing amongst your peers to, for progression and develop and promotion. So I think a lot of it's, I've definitely had many occasions where I let that define who I was as a professional and as, a talent. And I think that's human nature. I think everyone to some degree does that. But now I try to tell myself not to rely on external validation to um, to assess who I am as a professional. And it's hard. It's hard to not always seek validation. Now it's seeking validation from investors, right? From your customers. So it's hard, but I guess that's hopefully I'm less reliant on that than I was 20 years ago. I wouldn't call myself successful yet, but I think if I'm still trying to get there, I think if I have done anything that I am proud of myself is, um, I think not being afraid to try something new. I went from defense to finance. I went from finance to consulting, where everyone in McKinsey had a Harvard degree. I definitely am not a Harvard grad. And then I went from a really comfortable corporate job into launching my own company. So yeah, just giving yourself benefit of the doubt that let's give it a try, maybe you will be successful. And so far I think I've been doing pretty well in each of these sprints, as you call it, in these different journeys. And hopefully I'll continue to have that strength in me where I'm just up for new challenges every 5 years and keeping myself on my toes.